So let's talk about India's air defense. The air defense, the Sudarshan Chakra that is in the works and that pummeled also. We're also talking about the S-400 air defense system that pummeled Pakistan completely. And now we are looking at that Sudarshan Chakra, for that matter, a mission that has not just been announced by our defense minister, but also the Prime Minister of the country. We're talking about the S-400 Triumph that intercepted Pakistani missiles and drones. So this is what it does. It tracks 100 to 300 targets simultaneously up to 600 kilometers well across the international border and across the line of control. It engages in threats at ranges of 40 to 400 kilometers. That is the range that we are looking at. We also, in fact, would want to underline that this is an indigenous missile system. It has been grown in India, and this is something that India really boasts of, and this is the military heft of the country. Effectively engaged in aerial threats. Remember, I was just talking about how there were certain missiles on the Pakistani side that had reached crossing the IB into the Indian territory, and that was ably intercepted by S-400. It underscores homegrown defense tech strides, the kind of strides that India has made when it is about indigenous homegrown air defense. This is something that India has added as far as that feather on its cap is concerned. It's used in precision strikes against terror infrastructure, and that is very, very important. We have seen where all do the troubled areas lie, which are very, very close to the international border or up there along the line of control, and that has been ably settled because of this air defense system. It is used to strike Bahawalpur and Muridke. Remember, the air bases in Pakistan that were struck hard. It was because of the S-400 air defense system, and that's something that had rattled Pakistan completely. It is equipped with Scalp cruise missiles. Another very, very important aspect that we'd like to underline for our viewers, and this is what the military heft of India really is. It is equipped with AASM Hammer bombs as well. Akash will be explaining this better for us. It in fact struck deep into the territories of Pakistan and the terror infrastructure that was struck hard. All of this because of the S-400. Remember that entire in fact, address of the Indian Defence Minister with the S-400 in the background after the success of Operation Sindoor. Who can forget that? It has also ensured minimal collateral damage. Remember, the damage was on the Pakistani side, very, very minimal damage here on the Indian side. It's also Israeli-made munitions that this system has, and indigenous drones as well that are homegrown, that are made in India. It's for surveillance and also for targeted strikes. So not just looking at the threats, but also precision targeted strikes is something that it does. It has managed to neutralize enemy air defenses as well, and that possibly has also led to this decision by the Pakistani army, something that we're talking about as far as the Rocket Command Force is concerned. It has also gathered real-time intelligence. And remember, in warfare, this becomes absolutely important. You need to know what the enemy is actually looking at doing, and that intel becomes really, really critical. It has utilized Pythons 5 and also Darby missiles, and that's also something that we put out for our viewers. It's also provided short to medium range air defense. So we're talking about that range of 40 to 400 kilometers. It's also about that. It's also countered low flying threats. So not just long ranges, but also low flying threats have been ably countered because of this. It's also enhanced the multi-layered defense architecture. We're talking about a three-pronged air defense system, and that's something that Sudarshan Chakra is all about. Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey is now joining us on the broadcast. Lieutenant General Pandey, first of all, India's military heft, which is the S-400, the Sudarshan Chakra that the Prime Minister, the Defence Minister has been talking about. I just gave our viewers a lowdown of what all does it come equipped with, all of it homegrown. How does one see this? And in the face of the Sudarshan Chakra, we see this information that's coming in from Pakistan of they trying to develop a rocket command force.
So actually, virtually you have given out almost everything which is required to be in very comprehensive briefing. Compliments to you and your team. But let me just start giving certain degree of challenges. While on August 13, 2025, just after the lessons of Operation Sindoor started emerging to the Pakistanis, they announced the establishment of this new Army Rocket Force Command, and of course now it's a process. It will take some time to be created and put in position. But let me just highlight a couple of things. The very systems which got defeated by India in Operation Sindoor were primed on Chinese system, right? They are again looking at the Chinese system to defend Pakistan. You can well imagine what is going to happen. And second is that lessons which they have learned of Operation Sindoor. I can only say very confidently that Indian defense forces are also watching, and therefore there are actions which will be taken to keep on keeping ahead of the curve to ensure the next round, whenever it takes place, these systems are defeated the way it was done this time. There are issues with it, right? There are two very basic issues when Army Rocket Force Command is being created by Pakistan. One very basic force is that they have what is SPD, their nuclear assets, right? Till now, the division between the conventional missile systems, which are being handled differently, and between the nuclear missiles, which are going to be there, that difference is going to be very difficult. And therefore, when the messaging which is being, when India is observing to distinguish which one is which, is going to be an issue. So therefore, this is one facet we have to watch. The second is economic implication. When you start looking at layered application of missiles, rocket forces coming under one centralized command of a country like Pakistan, the leverages go down to one person's hand, and that also becomes very difficult because these are supposed to be based on very extensive good communication network through which the intelligence are real time. That means observation, monitoring, reconnaissance of what is being launched against this thing, or where they have to launch their rocket force assets in India has to be taken care of. So this enmeshing of all these systems is not so easy even for a very modern country like America. Or, for example, you look at Israel, which is so well funded, has got a very limited land parcel to defend. Yet in Iran-Israel imbroglio, which happened very recently when Midnight Hammer or Lion Rise was launched by Israel, you saw that Iranians were able to overwhelm the Israeli systems, that layered defense system which they had, and they were able to breach and carry out targeting of certain critical areas. So it sounds very great on paper that they are raising Rocket Force Command, but it requires huge amount of investment, and particularly if you're going to buy it or take it totally off the shelf from the Chinese, you can well imagine the cost which is going to be going to affect the defense system. So rather than going and looking after their poor population, they are going to be spending a large amount of money to create this system to target India, which, of course, I'm very sure the way the Chinese stuff are, you just saw Venezuela, what happened there, the same condition will happen the second time. But coming on to our operational, onto the Sudarshan Chakra, which is, I think, is a great recognition by the political leadership and the military leadership that today's warfare, when you are looking at Iran, you're looking at Ukraine, you look at in other areas, it is not limited to the conventional environment. And I think...
okay. All right. Yeah, we just lost you there for a bit, Jen Pandey. I'll come back to you on the Sudarshan Chakra bit in just a bit, because we also have Akash who's standing by. Akash, would want to understand this aspect from you, this China involvement that Jen Pandey was talking about. The fact that it's not just restricted to the strategic interests that China has in Pakistan as far as CPEC is concerned, it has gone beyond that with these military ties. But we had seen during Operation Sindoor how much of that really came in to help Pakistan. It was not of much help, and we'd seen how the Chinese made military, in fact, infra that Pakistan had did not really work against the Indian defense. What does one make of this fact that Pakistan is going to emulate China when it is about this rocket command force? How much of that is actually functional? The point that Jen Pandey was also raising, if you can throw more light on that.
Right. So, Griha, you have given me multiple aspects to talk on. I'll come to every bit of it, starting from what General Pandey said. General Pandey has explained that how it is very difficult for a country like Pakistan, to of course they can create as many commands as they want. But then the maintenance part, the communication part, how they are going to carry it forward, how the structure would work, because we know that how this country, is being governed by just one individual, that is the army chief. Now, while they are trying to copy China or trying to copy the practices of China, this is one fact that they have been using more than 70% of the military hardware from China. Of course, this is one lesson that they have got from Operation Sindoor, given the fact that they have realized that their nuclear threat won't work for India, and also in future, if any sort of conflict happens once again, they are going to, in fact, face it once again. And they know it very well, the kind of capabilities that Indian armed forces have. Now, as far as, this particular command is concerned, so as I mentioned earlier, communication and maintenance are the two important issues and big issues that they'll have to deal with. But at the same time, they want to, use it for some sort of deterrence, or they have some sort of planning that, this particular command, whenever we are utilizing this particular command, like during Operation Sindoor, I remember when Fatah was fired, so everyone confused it with missile. However, Fatah is a rocket of Pakistan that was neutralized near Sirsa. Similarly, when it is about the use of ballistic missiles, so, these lines are never drawn, but there are several red lines, in any sort of conflict. And use of ballistic missile is one, that red line that a country crosses whenever they fire any ballistic missile. And that gives somewhere the idea or the, free hand to use the nuclear weapon from the other side as well. So there are several sort of red lines. And this is the reason why they are coming up with this particular structure. As far as China is concerned, so of course, China, we know that how they are helping them. Of course, they are giving their hardware to Pakistan to utilize. But there are several sort of challenges that Pakistan would be facing. And General Pandey was, in fact, mentioning about it. Just 30 seconds more, Griha, as far as the Sudarshan Chakra is concerned. So we know that how right now, starting from the point defense that is being dealt by the AD of Army to the Indian Air Force as well, we have a structure, we have a very good structure where coordination is happening from the command and control center of the Indian Air Force, where we have more than 12 nodes throughout the country. And then we have systems like Akash Tir that are very well integrated with the kind of systems we have, be it S-400 that is from Russia or some sort of indigenous system like Akash missile. All of these weapons, all of these systems are integrated to systems like Akash Tir and also the IAF nodes. And that is the reason why there is a coordination that is helping the forces. There is an integration that is helping the Indian Armed Forces. Of course, deliberation has been going for the integrated Rocket Force Command here in India as well, but we still don't know as to in which direction it will go. But right now, this is some one development that has happened from, in fact, in Pakistan. India is